Educating, informing, serving. Fact TV, keeping government honest.
You're watching a Fact TV presentation of the Wyndham Northeast Unified Elementary School District.
Okay, it's 6:01. We'll call the meeting of the Wyndham Northeast Union Elementary District in order. Let me have introductions, please.
Marty Merrill, Grafton.
Rachel Plummer, Grafton.
Kathy Siano Goodwin, Grafton.
Krista Gay, Athens.
Harold Noyes, Chair in Athens. And I don't see them in on.
No.
Okay. Adjustment to the agenda. I have a couple. Under 6. Do a letter C for superintendent. And then D for principal's report. Any other adjustments?
Can we have an update on, for Grafton? We had a couple of interviews for librarian. I wonder if they made a decision.
Well, we're gonna, probably that would be under appointments and resignation, or whatever.
Okay, got it.
All right. Anybody else? Any other adjustments? Okay, not hearing any. Communication, public comments. We have no one from the public here. So we'll bypass that. Review and approve the minutes of May 11, 2023. Has everybody read them? Can we have a motion? I have an extra copy if you have not seen.
Yeah.
I did not see any discrepancies or anything that came lunging out at us.
I didn't see any.
All right, so can we have a motion to approve this?
I make a motion that we approve the minutes for May 11th.
Second.
Okay, motion moved by Krista, seconded by Kathy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, old business. Last meeting, we someone brought up that maybe we need to readdress the surplus monies that we had talked about a couple of meetings ago. And wondering if we need to use some of that for starting capital improvement for this building. So, and I can't remember who brought that up, but
Some of that, because of the, expenses.
Related to
to
the
the
septic.
septic.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then the discussion about painting. Building.
All paid.
yeah, and painting the building and, you know, just some general improvement that needs to be done. We would think sooner rather than later. And if we could use some of that surplus plus money to pay that.
I guess my comment would be there that, you know, our existing balance is 350,330, which we had identified some of it to go into next year's budget, and 150,000 for capital improvements that could be used for other things if we needed to, and then 14,140 for tuition reserve and a little capital reserve of 3417. We're going to have, based on the 22 audit, another $242,430 that we're going to have to identify, and I believe the voters will have to vote on that, whatever we decide to recommend. So that's coming down the road. That'll be next year. And this year, we're probably running $150,000 surplus today.
Oh,
So we have money in our budget. It could be moved around to spend today if we need to. And I believe we're spending that money on, of course, the septic system. Some of that, which I think I talked with Jim today, there's a $22,000 bill that they just processed. So that's gonna be coming out of this year's spending, even though it wasn't identified originally. But there's plenty of room this year in the budget to spend money.
But the money in this year needs to be spent by June 30th. So it's not like we can begin a project like July 1st using that money that you're talking about. So,
Right, it's gotta be done now.
yeah, so the meeting we just had, so to speak, with Westminster was about trying to utilize some of those surpluses that the principal had already identified with already talked to contractors lined up. No, the work must be finished by, June 30th too.
Oh.
So it's like, I hear what you're saying. I don't know if we've even gotten to the point where like we've had, I'm looking at Angela's list of people in here, other than the septic, to like turn it around in a few days. That would be my worry.
But we do have 150,000 that we've already allocated to
Yes.
capital. so
Yes, yeah, we don't
That's
know.
available to use for whatever we got.
Yeah.
And that can be used at any time, even after.
Yes, because
It's
it's
already been
designated by
allocated.
So let's.
by the voters.
Okay, so,
I think we're in pretty good shape.
Oh, no, yeah, I just.
Yeah.
I didn't want folks to think like,
Yeah.
we can, that money this year, we can start spending in after
No,
June 30th.
but then they'll be there for the year after. So,
Yes,
okay.
I mean, if we don't spend that 150 this year, that's gonna be a surplus again for the following 2 years.
okay,
So is there any money, now before July 1st that we're gonna lose because we don't use it, or is it just go back, like you said, to the next surplus?
So,
No.
so if you have a surplus after June 30th, then, the board, that we would make recommendations to the board to either put monies aside for certain capital improvement plans, or put money aside to offset taxes in the future.
Yeah.
You would then take that to the voters as different measures. And then, the voters would allow you to put like, I'm gonna make something up, $50,000 for, technology. And it's sitting there and it could always only be used for technology kind of thing in the future.
So
And it could be used not just in 1 year, it could be used in multiple years going forward.
if you have an idea of what that figure would be.
It's gonna be 150,000, I think, this year.
Yeah.
Which will be added to the
that's over and
240,
above.
over and above the 242, 430 that we haven't designated yet. And then we already have the 350, 330 that we have designated. For different things. 150,000 of which is for capital, if we wanna use it there.
So if we wanted to say to Gary, for example, find us a painting contractor to do the
So-
exterior painting, even though it's gonna happen after July 1st.
We
You would have the
plenty of
money to do
money to do that.
You have monies that if the voters have already allocated and approved
Yeah,
for you to expend on capital improvements on the building.
that's
And
correct.
so you can choose to use them then any way you want. And so, where my recommendation was gonna be just that, I would say painting is probably.
Yeah.
To preserve the building.
Yeah.
You need it done.
Yeah.
And, Angela's got a price tag down here of $30,000. I don't know how real that number is. But anything that would be over $40,000, we'd have to go out to bid anyway. So, I think it's worthwhile of, checking to see what it would cost to paint and, do it right,
Yeah.
scrape off the stuff.
Right.
Because I think they painted over for a few times. It
Yeah.
looked pretty thick the last time I looked at it.
Yeah.
But get down, prime it back up right. So I don't know what that would cost, but we can start working on that. If that's-
Yeah, I would like to see that. I'd like to see, to get that done.
Yeah.
So
some of the other projects that she just listed, she handed me because she was running late. She had one of paving the parking lot at $20,000. Again, I don't know how real that number is. When we were talking about repaving a tennis court, we were a heck of a lot higher than $20,000.
Wow.
And that parking lot's a little bigger than a tennis court. So what I would ask the board is if I can speak with Steve Horton about some of these projects
Mhm.
and have him look at them, because his eyeball, is pretty accurate
Okay.
on the costs. Like the other one she has down here is insulate the roof. Some of that comes down to, what we've come into with some of our other buildings is, I don't know what the insulation here is, but as you increase your insulation, that increases the load snow might put on your roof. And so you might need to have a structural engineer come in and look, so, because the snow won't melt as
Won't melt,
fast,
right.
and so then you're putting more weight on. So I would just want to advise that we do it right, because the last thing we want is the roof
Right.
to come down.
Yep.
Or come in.
Look, is it a metal roof? Don't we have a metal roof up here?
That part is over there.
That you do, but you still have, I would just want to make sure, have Steve look at it, because I don't, again. If we're insulating, if you spend, she has $100,000 down here. If you're spending $100,000, how long are you gonna get that return?
Okay.
Right, based on how much fuel you're burning and whatnot, and when we really looked at it, just say for Westminster, the return was like 20+ years out before we'd get any return on the investment for the amount of we'd be saving in
Yeah.
that time, so.
Why doesn't the board have your list that she gave?
Cause she just made it up this afternoon.
She was running late, I think she was gonna go over it, but I don't know, so, I mean, I can,
It'd be nice if we could have a copy of that.
sure, we can get you a copy of it.
Any other discussion? So can we have a recommendation or motion to have Andy have that person check on these things and get a ballpark figure for us?
Yeah, so it's, just so you all know, it's Steve Horton, he's our
Yeah.
project manager.
Yeah, Steve, right, yeah.
And what I would do is have him, ask him to come out here, because this is not, come out and look at the driveway, look at the installation piece.
In the painting.
I can have him look at the painting, that might not be his area, he's more of a building.
Yeah.
Build kind of thing, but also, and I'll make a copy of this before you all leave.
Yeah.
She has like replacing windows to be double hung. And so these are casement windows
Right.
and replacing them. If we're talking the whole building, I don't know what that costs. So
What's the matter with these windows?
again, Kathy, I can't speak to it. These are the, and so, I mean, there might be questions for Angela, but I don't know how old these numbers are, and,
Yeah, it could be.
but I will get those
And
for you.
it's not, we're not gonna make any decisions tonight anyway.
No, it's just simply,
It's more,
authorize.
let's investigate the projects
Yeah.
that are available.
Yeah.
You have to vote before the end of the month though, right?
No,
no, this could be done after.
So
So we don't have to name where the money's going.
hang on,
no,
so there's 3 pots of money.
yes,
So there's a pot of money from old surpluses
Okay.
that the board put on as a warrant and allocated to be spent in future.
$150,000.
And that was approved.
Okay.
That was the 350, right? And
Yes,
and
it's out of the 350.
and some of that was earmarked to offset taxes in the
Yeah.
in the future. Then there's $150,000 that was a warrant article that the voters approved for a capital improvement fund.
Yeah.
That the board then can expend at what it deems is appropriate for projects in the future. And that's approved. You just have to now figure out what you want to spend, what you want to
Right.
approve. The third one is you will have what we're projecting a surplus from FY 23, which is this year,
Mhm.
of about $150,000. Now, if we were maybe a month back, we would start identifying projects that we could spend really fast to
With that,
potentially do. But we're at June
Eighth, I think.
8th, 9th.
We're not gonna get.
We're not gonna get there to get those projects done. So what'll happen is at June 30th, that money will basically get held. And then the board will have to decide if it wants to put forward another, article to the taxpayers to say, we want to put this $150,000 into X. And so then that'll be voted on in March, and then you'll have those funds available for you.
So, just for clarification for me. So after July 1. What do we have right now for funds that we can use?
150,000 plus another one of $3,417, which was allocated between Westminster and Grafton. It was 2019. So,
We have about $153,000 towards capital.
Okay, so we can use after July 1.
Yeah.
You can use right now.
Use right now, but,
you could, yes.
but the thing is
There's no
that's no way we're
limitation.
gonna do that.
There's no limitation,
Right.
and you don't have to spend it all
Right.
right away.
Right.
You can hold on to it and future boards can use it. So. And I don't want people to feel like there's a gotta spend.
Oh, yeah, no,
But,
no.
but there are some serious projects that I think you could use to address those funds.
But, you know, my two, I think, would be, you know, paving and then the insulating or,
Yeah.
you know, that, it's just gonna improve it.
I mean, your parking lot may,
Yeah,
I don't know what kind of shape it's in. There may be, I know there was a drainage issue out here on the back
yep,
side.
Now fix that.
So
didn't they? Yeah, we fixed that.
Yeah,
The-
okay.
What piece of stuff been coming out of?
Most of that is this year because we're spending the dollars today.
Yeah.
Okay.
and that was 22 grand, you said?
That's the bill I was quoted for that's coming.
Yeah, I haven't
Yeah.
seen.
Point.
That's what Jim told me today.
Any other questions for either Andy or Patty?
Is there an update on the playground equipment? Is that gonna happen in the fall?
So
Or
we're
earlier?
currently, we put up a proposal for project proposal
Either beautifully.
to the state. It was pushed back because they wanted additional verbiage. Angela provided that to me. We sent that back up to them. And now we're just waiting for approval. And how the state works is when your proposal goes in, it goes in at the bottom. And even if they've already looked at it and sent it back to you for amendment, when you return it, it goes back to the bottom. And they start working on the top of their list. So it depends on how many projects are up there. And when they'll get to it.
So there's a chance we won't get it by the beginning of this coming school year.
No, I do not want to paint that picture.
Okay.
It's just,
When was she notified that they needed more information? Was this
Angela's here, so maybe she.
recently or months ago?
I received a phone call, maybe like 2 or 3 weeks ago, with some more questions. And then I sent it right back to Andy, so I think it was pretty quickly turned around and sent back to them. That was a couple weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks, maybe.
That's back on the 30th when we resubmitted it, May 30th.
Okay, the 30th, yep.
We have a new reviewer. This is the third or fourth, I believe, the fourth reviewer that we've had on our ESSER grants since I've been involved in the last 2 years. And he's very diligent in his work. And where in the past, if there was a mistake, they would just write me an email, turn it around and send it back and say, fix X, Y, and Z. Our new reviewer likes to pick up the phone and call you and talk to you about it for an hour and a half. And then maybe, get to the point of, oh, we'll try it, and then it eventually comes back to you and then you got to push it back up. And so, but he, I'm looking at it right now. He accepted it on June 7th, but it is not started.
So you said yes.
So to get just a I submitted it on the 30th, he accepted it on the 7th, so. But as soon as we get project approval, then we can start going ahead and moving forward with breaking ground and whatnot, so.
I guess I was assuming we already had that.
We had concept approval. And then you have to go for project approval.
Any other questions on capital improvement and? Let's move on to 6B. Kathy, if you would share with us a little synopsis of the community forum that we had last month.
We did not have a lot of people there. We had, 3 or 4 parents. One community person. And 2 parents that were there, had concerns. That we all discussed. And I did take some notes. I think I gave you a whole list of.
Yeah, and I didn't bring that. I copied it off and didn't bring it.
Up to me here. I think overall it was fine. I think there were some community members afterwards that commented what they didn't know about the meeting. And I did speak to Kate about using the Grafton News and the Athenian and Facebook page for the Grafton News to notify folks when things are done, because community members often do not get the school weekly.
Well,
Angela,
the Grafton News sends it out. So I send it to Grafton News and then Grafton News disseminates it after that.
well, apparently these folks didn't have any knowledge that there was a community forum, which they had been the previous one, so. So that's something that we need to be maybe more focused on those that either don't have a computer or some other knowledge. Maybe the MKT market puts up a little note. I know they don't like to do that, but other avenues of getting the word out. I guess my overall feeling was that the school needs to have better communication with parents and a more welcoming environment. That's what I got. So.
Did you set another date for another one or no?
No, we're supposed to have 4, and this was the second one, and school ends on the 20th. So I would recommend that before school starts, or maybe the first couple of weeks after school starts, that we have something.
So we'll look for a
Unless
date
somebody else
sometime in
has another
September.
idea.
I think one of the big issues that was brought up was, and we had all been included on the email with Jessica, about the tuition issue.
Mhm.
And I think that's something we really should address, the discrepancy between
Right.
what we pay the middle school versus what we pay to the other schools. So I think that's something that we need to address.
And I,
But in general, my impression was there were only 2 or 3 parents that came. So that must mean that most of the parents don't have issues because they all had to know about the meeting.
I think as a parent, from things that I've heard, and it's like this probably anywhere, people talk about issues, but they won't come into meetings, which is pointless, but.
Well, that was one of the big concerns when we had the first one, is parents were more willing to talk to like board members, like one-on-one, even though that wouldn't lead to action, and then they were frustrated that wouldn't lead to action because you can't do anything. You talk to about it over Thanksgiving, but they were concerned that somehow if they expressed concerns that it would be taken out on their kids. Like, I'm not saying that's a valid concern, I'm just saying that's what the consensus was.
and I had heard that from a couple of parents too.
But there have been, several opportunities since the meeting that parents have been allowed to come to different events at the school, which is nice.
Yeah.
All right, so let's shoot for sometime in September to have our third community forum and try to get it publicized a little more if we can. And see what happens on that. Plus the move up date is what, the 16th? Angela?
Yes, the 16th.
I had something on my calendar for the 20th. Is there something happening on the 20th?
Last day
Yeah,
of school.
Okay.
That's important.
Yeah, for some reason I had that on my calendar as a move up day.
And-
Yeah, that's
and-
what I had.
And
Okay,
no,
it-
no school on Monday, June 19th. In recognition of Juneteenth.
Oh, the federal,
Yes.
it's a federal holiday.
Yeah,
Okay, so I just want to make sure everyone hears that. Is
so they have a half a day on the 20th or is it?
they have a half a day on the 20th and the last day for teachers is the 21st.
Okay.
So I had graduation on the 20th at 6. Is it the 16th at 6?
Yeah, 16th,
At 6 here. Okay.
right. Okay, and usually the board, as many members as possible come and congratulate the young people moving up. So as many of us as can be here on the 16th, let's try, please, to show them our support, well wishes. Moving on to Andy, do you have anything you want to?
I can, I mean, that last piece there is probably the biggest of last day of school, but, you know, we try and generate out of my office one report a month. I don't know if anyone had any questions about what we put out last month. Anything specific as you wanted.
What's the all meeting tomorrow?
It's actually, thank you for bringing that up. It's not an all meeting. That was just a, we grabbed the wrong template in a haste. And so
It happens.
it's an SU meeting. However, we're actually going to need to cancel that meeting. While Nicole had gotten it posted and to the reformer in time, the reformer didn't get it posted in the 24 hours.
Oh.
needed. So we're
Yeah.
going to be putting a message out there. But that is just so everyone knows why we got the cat out of the bag here. That is, we had gone out for bid on a construction management company. I had sent that out to all board members just so they had a chance to look at that. It's just because it's such a big piece, we want the board to just be aware of it and get their blessing on which company we're going to use. Because we only got 2 bids, we still have to go for a bid waiver, which will take time, Kathy. So that's why we were trying to get it done. Just because we knew there's a timing piece there. So, but I think we're gonna try and reschedule for next week.
Are you comfortable with one of the companies?
Mr. Horton
Yep.
is comfortable with both companies.
Yeah, he was too, originally.
I'm sorry.
He was originally too. He said he liked both.
Oh, he
companies,
said they're both
Yeah.
top-notch companies. You know, we feel very confident in both of them.
Yeah.
But there is one that we're proposing, obviously.
And this is to do which?
So this is the construction management company that would basically take over a lot of these projects. So let's say you were doing the paving project here. We would have them come in and they would be potentially be your overseer of the project and bid it. They would do the subcontracting out and all that stuff. Take it out of Angela's hands, take it out of Gary's hands, and just let them do the work.
Okay.
So.
All right,
But as I understand it, the jobs that they're gonna be doing, there's nothing here for Grafton. Nothing was on that list, right?
We can add them in, so it's not, I mean, there weren't any current large jobs that were being proposed out here. If we originally were proposing something like redoing the roof out here, that would be something that we would have incorporated them into, yes, to in that piece, but in bringing them on, like but there are. Like we will have them be doing like, the exterior door projects and stuff like that, because it's easier to bring in one vendor to do all of our doors at one time.
Right.
As opposed to different doors.
So we can include Grafton with this management team. Yes. Okay,
I don't know if this is a question for who here, the feedback on the school name? Is that,
It did come up at the community forum,
I
but
thought,
there wasn't very many, surveys.
okay,
And then Kate did put a survey out that people could just do it and hand in, but the people that came did not take the survey. So I don't know, if maybe Angela got some more surveys, I don't know.
I didn't get any more surveys, but I think that there was some confusion. I don't think that maybe everybody is totally clear that there's like the district name for like tax purposes and at the state level, and then there's like the name in front of our school. And I think that there might have been some confusion around like possibly changing the name of our school, which is not what's on the table.
Right.
So I think that there was some confusion around that.
and I did not add that in the for the adjustments, because that was not on here, but if you don't mind, just addressing that just for a second. As to what you want to do as far as the district name. Do you want to just go with the Athens Grafton
I think
Elementary
the
School
board
District?
has to make a decision. I think there was some people did voice that this is the Grafton School, Elementary School, this is a Grafton building, it should be Grafton Elementary School District. I think it's up to the board to come up with a recommendation and vote on it. I mean, it sounds like there wasn't much community input
Right,
back to us. But we did offer that.
right.
what was the proposed name at our last meeting was the Athens Grafton
Elementary.
Elementary,
I
Yeah.
think that's pretty non-controversial. We're not changing the sign, we're not changing the name of the building, and I think mentioning the other school, like mentioning Athens, sends a good number of kids here.
Yeah, and I think that, for Athens to feel like it's a part of it, I think we should do that, so. Would you make that as a motion to change the district name, not the school name, not anything, but just the district name?
Yeah, I make the motion that we change the district name to the Athens Grafton Elementary School District.
I second it.
Okay, Patty has seconded that, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody, are you in favor of this? Yeah. Kathy?
Yes,
Okay. All right, so that has passed, and it's, the district name will be Athens Grafton Elementary.
If the state approves it, is that correct, Andy?
That is correct.
Right, they have-
We will now work with the state to get that
Okay.
approval.
God,
All right. It is, isn't it? Okay, Angela, I put in here for a report from you, if you'd like to present anything.
Sure. I have some wonderful news. Our enrollment is at 36 still right now. But next year we got an additional 2 more kindergartners. So we are up to 9. We got a very kind email last week, saying that there was a family moving into Grafton with 2 children entering kinder. So now we are at 9, which is a really fantastic number to move forward. That's gonna be the bigger ones. Say that again.
That's good, what's going up?
Seven going out.
Oh,
Yeah, right,
so what's the kinder class gonna be next year? Sorry, 9?
9.
9. And it's been updated on that like enrollment spreadsheet that I had shared. And our attendance for May was at 96.2%, and then our year to date is 94.8, and our goal is 95%. So I'm not sure if we can get it, but we're trying. So as just an update on our septic, we're waiting on word that the pumps have been shipped and we haven't heard that yet. So once they've shipped, we'll have like an arrival date, but for now, we're still on this schedule with Best Septic to have them pump out the pump station because it gets filled every 3,000 gallons. I don't think that it's a huge deal, just because we knew that the pumps weren't going to be here before the last day of school. And once we're not in school anymore, our consumption is going to go down significantly. So we're having it pumped, I think tomorrow or Monday, because we're pretty full. And then I imagine we won't have to have it pumped until hopefully the pumps are getting installed. So not too many more times of pumping it out. And our 6th grade success night, we just went over this, is Friday, June 16th at 6, and that was changed. So you didn't like have the wrong date. It was changed because our last day of school had changed. He weighed in. I don't know who had heard, but the teacher who was supposed to go to Key weighed in Sunday. So that was the night before they were leaving on Monday to go, ended up ill. And so it was like a mass email, like, can anybody go? And so Miss Lizzie and Mrs. BT shared the week and went and accompanied the 6th graders, who had a great time, and we were really happy to welcome them back. It was like a welcome back party when they came off the bus, so that was really sweet. Our kindergarten and play night went really well. We had all of the students attend except for one, and then we offered for those additional 2 kindergartners who missed that night to come for a tour sometime over the summer. And we'll just make sure that the teacher's there and they get all the goodies for kindergarten. We went today, we had talked, I think I talked a little bit about this at the last meeting, but we went to Patch Farm in Putney. They're a farm that collaborates with a therapeutic horse farm in Keene named Cooper's Crossroads. And the field trip today was an opportunity for students to interact with this really cute little baby lamb, some sheep and horses. And our hope and dream is to implement this Cooper's Crossroad program next year. The PTO we're talking with them too, just to see about some funds. And it's a farming for resilience program for students that have experienced some adverse childhood experiences and trauma. And so that was a really fun field trip, despite a little bit of sprinkle today. It was really nice. We had a woman named Melanie Kahn come in this week for mushrooming. She's an author and a mushroomer, and she came to GES this week. We went on a hike, learned about mushrooms, where they grow, their benefits, and actually how they work with trees. It was really interesting. She also had wrote a book, Mason Goes Mushrooming, which she donated one of them to our library. Our PTO sponsored for Vins to come with some owls. And so they did an owl program, I think that was yesterday. And that was a nice little assembly. Tomorrow night, the camping trip for 3-4 is still on. Despite the forecasted rain, families seem really into making it work despite the rain. And the Nature Museum is putting up some huge tents, and other teachers are bringing tents. And so we're going to make it work under tents, and we'll be able to have the fire under there. We have plenty of chaperones and staff so that Mrs. Stern can continue that learning with the Nature Museum. Just a couple more things. Every month we have data meetings with teachers. And so we look at classroom data, our measurement of academic progress scores, which is our MAP scores. We'll look at the Vermont CAP scores when they come in. We look at DIBELS, which is assessment of early literacy skills. And then we look at math skills, which is assessed through a system called PNOA or ENOA, which is primary number and operations, or elementary numbers and operations. And so we just had our last data meeting of the year, which was also an opportunity for teachers to share strengths and strategies for our students in each class as they move on to potentially another teacher. So that was great. And then we are having someone come and get our team ready to attend the Best Institute, which is a 4-day program that a few of us are going to in Killington, just to go over some best practices and our universal approach to positive behavioral intervention. And we're actually going to take some assessments as a staff just to be able to use those at the Best Institute. And our amazing counselor, Tracy, helped to set all of that up. And then as far as staffing goes, we do still have a music opening. We are lucky to be receiving a Title I reading intervention teacher. Her name is Jeannie Klaus from CES, who is funded through Title I. And so she's going to be coming over to Grafton for reading intervention. We still do have a special education opening. And then once we get to it, I'll be recommending a kindergarten teacher. Those interviews are through. And that's it.
Do we have what we need now for after school stuff and things for next year, or for the after school program?
So
What's
this
that?
was all.
Okay.
That was something, sorry, that was something that was discussed too at the community forum. I just had a meeting today with Sarah Doran about sort of what we're going to do for next year as far as an after school program. And so our next step is to get a survey out to parents about what they want and get some input from families and then try and go from there. So there's nothing really set in stone yet for next year's after school program.
We are looking forward towards that goal, towards the end of that goal, right? For the school, for the after school program. We're looking forward to getting that implemented for next year somehow.
You're planning to have one?
Yeah, for next year.
I mean, if this year was really tough because we didn't have the staff for it, right? We had a position open all year for an after school program coordinator. And that we didn't have anybody for that position. And so that's why that program couldn't run. So if there's somebody who applies for that and wants that position, it would be easier to run an after school program at Grafton. But right now we're sort of like in this in-between stage of trying to find somebody and figure out the right programming. And Andy, it's my understanding we're using ESSER.
Correct, for next year, yep.
Okay. Any other questions? Let's move on to number 7, appointments and resignations. Do you have, for the kindergarten teacher, do we have to?
Angela?
Angela?
Do you have it or do you want me to do it?
I've got it.
All right.
Okay.
So we had quite a great interview team. There was, I think, about 9 of us on the interview team. We had a parent, community member, or a board member, teachers. And so it was sort of unanimous that we were going to offer the position to Danielle Wazerzug. She'll be known as Miss W. She graduated from Franklin Pierce with an elementary education K-6. She's certified in Vermont. She worked for 2 years as a kindergarten para in Keene, New Hampshire. She came in and delivered a lesson to our students, which was fantastic. And she had some really great recommendations from her colleagues and a supervisor of hers.
So we need to have a motion to have Andy offer a contract to Ms. W. Okay, so can we have a motion for that? All right, Kathy has moved that Andy would be able to offer a contract to a kindergarten teacher. Anyone second?
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So Andy, if you would do that, please.
Definitely, thank you.
Any other business besides, before we get into the director's comment?
Librarian been hired?
No. there's later.
No librarian yet, right?
No librarian?
Not yet. No.
Do we have any perspective or prospects yet of
We do.
librarian?
We do, and we held interviews, but I'm still waiting to hear back on some references. So I just don't feel comfortable recommending somebody if I haven't talked to all of the references yet. I think people are just busy right now.
That's fine.
So just so the board is aware, Harold sat in on my last meeting, so.
Yeah.
There's a few approaches that we could take here. Is one, we would, look to try and call special meetings as you know, when we have applicants available and, you know, to get folks together. It is common practice for boards to authorize the superintendent to go ahead and hire on behalf of the board so that we wouldn't have to call special meetings during the summer. But, you know, either way, I mean, we want to be able to, if we have a candidate, be able to solidify them as fast as possible. So I don't know if, you know, sometimes summer can be difficult. People are traveling and whatnot, so.
Do you guys have a preference or do you?
Well, virtual meetings, if they're virtual, I think that makes it pretty easy to convene quickly.
Well, I guess my feeling is that the board needs to be part of the interview. So we get a feeling for the person and ask the questions and hear what they have to say. Rather than having it come down to one person, but that's my feeling.
Yep.
Are you anticipating any openings?
Well, we have the
Drafted?
librarian.
Just the ones that I reported on. So we're gonna be, it's really library and music is what because not the special education teacher, so it's just library and music right now. And the
So you
library,
just made-
But you've got staffing for the after school program too.
So that's all through the SU because that's using ESSER funds.
That's, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. I knew it was the funds, but.
Yeah.
We didn't have part of it.
So we just may be called to a special meeting if in fact we have a candidate that we want to.
Yep.
Look at, so should be aware of that we'll be doing that.
do you potentially want to do like if there's board representation on the interview committee? Because I feel like everybody, the board members you guys have all been really good about wanting to be on the interview committees. I wonder if possibly there's representation if you're okay with it. I don't know.
That's fine. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, if you get where, you're going to have the interview, let us know and, either Kathy or myself, I know Chris will be out of town, maybe Rachel, whichever.
Yeah, no, Rachel's been on Kathy was
Been on
just
them
on the
before.
library interview.
So just let us know and one of us will come if
Okay.
we need to. Okay.
Okay.
All right, director's comments. Patty,
I'm all set.
Kathy?
I think I'm all set. I'm a little disappointed that we can't use this money right now for getting things done. That's fine.
Well, it's not that we can't, it's just that, it will be there in July for us to use if we need to, or when we do it,
It's
so.
available. The question is getting a project approved.
Yeah,
Anything over $40,000 requires going.
3 bids.
Yeah.
So,
the way people right now are, I mean, to get somebody may be very difficult because everybody's just so busy.
Can we
So are
advertise?
what was discussed about painting the building? Was that talked about?
Yeah, it was Angela.
Yeah.
I think that, we need to, like, I don't know what you have and who you've spoken to, like, as far as where that dollar figure came from.
It's
is it-
just the guy who's always painted our building. That's who it was.
And one of the things I think that I advise the board is that we really want to make sure that
It scrapes it.
it's scraping, it's priming, it's, not just doing cosmetic, but really doing the right thing. And so we really should have some people really look at it and give you some estimates of what it's really going to cost. Cause that cost that you have there was almost what it cost me to paint my house. And I had my house scraped, it was all clapboards and, I mean, I just worry that, I don't know if that price is a real price, but we did talk about utilizing capital improvement funds to do that. But the money that you have in your current budget, you have to use in this fiscal year. We can't be paying anything out next year. So that's what we were just talking about.
So you want me to go and get 3 bids? I'll do it. It's
I
fine.
just want to check in with you in the morning.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
it's important in the bid that they have all the things that Annie just mentioned, scraping and.
Well, yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure that this does. Gary, he's the guy behind all this, so. It's the gentleman that's painted the building for as long as I can find receipts. So,
Somebody local?
Yes.
Yep.
So we talked about that, Angela, we talked about the parking lot. Paving.
Yep. Yep.
Talked about insulating, and things, but all of that is gonna have to come after, the June. June date. So. Any other director's comments? No? Date and time for next meeting, do we need a meeting for June 22nd?
That's my question.
Yeah,
We just
I,
need a virtual meeting if we have to approve somebody.
yeah.
June or July?
This is June 22nd, because
Yeah.
a lot of times we have 2 meetings, but I don't see that we need one in June. And my other question is unless there's something urgent, do we really need one in July? I mean, unless it's the virtual thing for the hiring of the staff
Or approving a project.
or approving the project. I mean, and we can get that done.
Work around.
I mean, I would like to, I don't know when to do it, but talk about a vote on the tuition issue.
Right.
What needs to be voted on for that?
So there's a discrepancy between
Right, yep.
the two,
Yep.
what we pay, and I think we should. If I understand it right, we can call a special vote of the town people, and they can vote on whether we adjust it. I think if I'm getting that correctly. I personally feel like we should be, if we're giving our students a certain amount to go to the middle school, it should be the same wherever they go.
Oh, yeah.
Not that other schools would necessarily charge that much,
Yeah.
but
So typically, many of the independent schools will take whatever you give them.
Yes.
So if it's $15,000, that's what the state average is, that's what they charge. If the local independent school, if I lived in Grafton and I said, I'm gonna send my kiddo to Northfield Mount Herman, I'm trying to think of like Northfield Mount Herman has a set cost of what their tuition is. They don't have a 7th and 8th grade, but I'm just using that as an example, right? So you could, as a parent, if you want to transport your kid or whatever, take that money and that could offset whatever their tuition is. But a school like Compass, if your state average is that you're paying the state average of $18,000 or whatever, that's what they take. If you increase it to $22,000, they'll happily take your 22,000, that extra funds.
Because we're paying in the middle school 22.
Correct. That's a fluctuating based on what it costs to run the middle school. So,
and like Putney Grammar's the same, there's no.
my understanding, and maybe they've changed, but that they accepted whatever the state average was or whatever school districts were willing to pay.
Yeah, it was around 18,000 or something like that. I mean, I look at the bill for that stuff. And Putney Grammar was comparable to Leland and Gray or anybody else, basically, pretty close to what we're being charged.
Yeah. So I don't know if they've increased their prices. I mean, we don't go out and, we haven't done that research. But the only piece would be just to, remind that you've got a budget that you voted for, and if you So if you do have any of the voters decide to go up, that will increase your overall budget. Potentially. Given, I don't know how many kids you're talking about, but
Right.
What's the population for this for 7th and 8th grade coming in?
Well, sixth grade going out is,
It's 10 kids.
We have 10 kids or whatever.
But we've
I don't
got,
know what.
I think there was like 4 or
Sixth
something like that.
Like,
I got the number.
but
So is there any harm then to letting the voters decide that, for having that special vote? Like what, I guess my confusion, is what's the drawback of that?
again, that would,
is that
it
our
would
budget
just
could
increase your,
potentially go up,
it would
is what
increase your budget,
I'm saying.
your adopted budget. So whatever, and it may increase it. So I don't wanna
Yeah,
say
yeah.
it will, but it all depends. Off the top of my head, I don't know how many, like, let's say you've got 3 kids that are already attending, you know, the Putney Grammar School for 8th grade, and you budgeted $18,000, and now you're gonna pay, you know, $22,000, so you're talking an extra $12,000. Right there, and then if you have any 7th graders, what did you budget for them? And then how many are going, you know, how many are already at Compass, and then are you going to increase Compass?
Sure.
Because you're increasing across the board, so I to give you a educated or informed decision, I would have to go back and
Yeah.
run all the numbers, but
So,
I mean, I'm not saying like we should do it, I think we need to look into it, I guess is what I'm saying, it's just because I feel like. And I said this at the forum, that one of the draws to our district is that we do have school choice, and
totally,
if it's true that other schools, independent schools take whatever we give them, then everything's fine, hunky dory, but if I don't wanna send my kid to the middle school, I wanna send her somewhere else, and now I have to come up with that $4,000. Different, like that kind of ties my hands, cause I don't have $4,000 to send my kid to a different school, you know, I mean. If I'm asking to send to $100,000, well, that's completely
No,
different.
no, I understand.
But
you know,
what's the middle school, for next year, 26,000? Is that what we're saying? I mean,
no, it's 22.
22. I mean, there wasn't any, Leland and Gray or, Custer. Neither of those were charging that much for tuition this past year.
It has to do with what their costs are to run their building, and then they set their tuition.
Yeah, but they want to get kids in there too. And so they would, if they set it less than say, the
Yeah.
22, if they can.
Well, that's what we did for here, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean,
we tried to entice them to come here and.
yeah,
And such,
and that's
so
what they're doing.
we do lesser.
Yeah, and it looks like Putney Grammar's 20,000.
Yeah, but I don't think it's even 20 necessarily if they're coming in.
Hmm.
And maybe it is for next year, but this year was even under 20.
Yeah.
And that, what you're just saying, I mean, I'm happy to take back to the Rockingham board, but it might even be something that you as a collective board might want to, you know, somehow have a discussion with the Rockingham board. Either, you know, through just a letter type of thing, or even if you want to talk to them about the fact that if they want students to go to that school, like this is from your constituents, this is what you're hearing, and just to let them know that.
So this year, I think we had 14 kids in 7th and 8th.
Hmm.
And we have 10 in grade 6 that are going in there, but we have 10 that are going out. So it's gonna
So
be,
breaking even.
Right, so if you did, so you're talking 14 kids?
14 kids in the 7th and 8th grade that are going different schools.
And we only pay tuition for 7th and 8th, and then high school's kind of up to them.
Well, high school, there's tuition too, right, Andy?
Well, no, it's school choice.
School
So-
choice,
So you don't pay that though.
okay,
The dollars with high
That's
school
right.
don't follow.
Yeah.
students.
So this school, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to understand this. So we will pay a school to take our children for like 7th and 8th, and then they lose that money if they stay there for high school. They
Right.
don't get any extra income.
Right.
And schools still let us stay there, the kids stay there rent free.
So it's school choice through a lottery system.
Okay,
That's how it's supposed to be.
okay.
So so any student in the state of Vermont could petition or request school choice to go to any public high school in Vermont.
Right.
Okay,
The
Yeah.
school can, based on whatever their lottery system is or their numbers available, can accept you. If they accept you, that's their choice to accept you, but the dollars do not follow them.
so our benefit is we let you do that for middle school too. We offer the opportunity for students to go to
And you pay for
non-eligible, yes,
it. And you
yes,
pay for it.
Because we don't have our own seventh and eighth grade.
Yeah,
right, okay.
So you would be talking about a $56,000 addition, potentially addition to your budget. That you did not budget. If you increased $4,000,
right.
you're talking
We
56.
probably don't have to do it.
14 kids.
So you might be able to absorb it and not need it.
Yeah,
So,
I looked at my notes from the community forum and it was one particular parent wanted the school board to set the tuition each year.
So we do that on,
We did that.
we do that.
we did that. We set it for $15,000
15 grand.
for the school.
Yeah, we did that, what, 2 meetings ago or so.
Yeah,
'Cause we did it for lesser, hoping that we could entice some kids to
That's
come
correct.
here. So we already.
I think she was talking about what we were just talking
Yeah.
about, the seventh and eighth grade,
Seventh
what
and
we
eighth.
pay.
Okay, still going tuitioning into,
They wanted something.
Yes.
Yeah. okay.
So who sets that amount now?
I don't think we can set that.
Yeah, that's what I was asking,
No,
is like, is
does
that something
Rockingham
that
set
like
that,
we
or-
can't?
so every year, each, like it's, when is it? Is it in March? I always forget, March or, every board or, sets their tuition costs. So, or every, for their schools. And because we have to send it up to the state and, because then the state has to average that to get you the state average. And so, I off the top of my head don't know that date. But it's usually in the early spring, when it's set.
So what did we set it at 15 or 22?
You guys set yours.
Ours is 15.
That's your announced tuition rate. So if anyone wanted to come to your school,
Cool.
that's what they would
But
pay.
who decides how much money we're willing to give another school?
Rockingham board and then the other schools.
Right, so traditionally. For schools, for schools outside of your district. It has been the announced state average. That's paid.
Which is 18.
Yeah.
This year, they.
Yeah, it's 18, right.
So we do that in March. So parents should be notified.
Well, parents should call the schools and find out what it is, I would think.
Right, that was one of the.
If you wanted to go to
discussions
Leland
that-
and Gray, call them. You wanna go to Chester,
Yeah,
call them and find out.
I mean,
what it's
that
gonna
was
be.
some of the discussion, which is. Should Grafton. School district be. Hosting a seventh and eighth grade. Kind of recruitment night for all these in other schools to come in to allow for. Your students to have informed choice, or should. Or because you belong to the SU, as some people pointed out, that we're only, that. There's only a promotion of the Rockingham piece of it, so.
Yeah.
In sixth grade, we did it on our own. We went and visited all the schools for like field trip days. So there wasn't anything
Yeah.
posted by the board. It was, okay, today we're gonna go visit Leland and Gray.
Right.
Next week,
the
we're gonna
school
visit
did,
Greenhouse.
The school did took you on a field trip to each of the schools, and they did it differently this year. They asked
Well,
the
I,
families.
no, when I did it, it was, we would like arrange with like my classmates to go, but there wasn't like a
Formal thing.
formal school
Up by
bus.
school bus.
But Westminster does a recruitment thing, and we talked about switching over Grafton 1 year, Westminster 1 year. We'll invite parents and kids. We could do that.
The come to school though did come when I was, but this was like 15 years ago, almost 20 years ago, they came and they would do a presentation, but that was just the come to school.
Is burn burden an option for students?
Sure, if you wanna
Yeah.
transfer your kids there. You gotta get your kid there.
but you gotta do the transportation.
My kid from my grade went there.
My husband graduated.
Burr and Burton came to, the middle school night at Westminster.
Oh, great. That's good.
I didn't mean to derail her.
No, that's
No,
fine.
no, it's
No.
a discussion,
Yeah.
typically during director's comments, we don't have discussion, but it's a good.
Yeah, no, it's healthy. I think we need to do that.
So
Um,
the other thing at the community forum, I feel, Kathy, that was sort of mentioned is like just more information to families about accessing it and like how to do it. And I guess that's just something that, like, when I know we had talked about like a one pager, like having like, you know, it's $15,000 if you want to come to Grafton. It's the state average if you're gonna school choice out. I'm understanding this correctly. And then if you're gonna, but we pay 22,000 to the middle school. And the reason that it's more than 18, right, is because you can do what you want, but that's like Rockingham can set middle school's price, right? Is that, I mean, so then if somebody wants to access that $18,000, like, I guess, like, what do they do? Cause I don't actually know that.
They could go to that school, right, Andy?
Go
Would you
to
go-
that school and then the school bills
Yeah,
us.
The school bills us, so,
Yeah.
I mean, there's no, parents don't get a voucher, they don't get
Right.
a check or
Yeah.
anything of that nature, it's
But we
just.
should have that information available
Yeah.
to the sixth
Right.
grade families, like if you wanna go to different other than the middle school, this is what you need to do,
right.
and
Yeah.
have it streamlined so that it's
That's
available.
And there's also-
That'd be good.
Isn't there a deadline when a
So
parent
there-
or family has to request it?
No, cause
Does that
families don't
come up?
request, so families don't request it, it's. The other schools just send us a bill.
Right, but
No.
getting accepted for the next,
So that,
yes, that
that
is.
is, every school might have a different deadline. But what I heard, and I mean, if you're talking some of the private schools, their deadlines are like in January. And like what even the Westminster, night was in March. It's well after any acceptance, thing, and so that's
really-
a matter of like, you gotta have that in December.
So these parents that are sixth graders have to know it well in January. Not wait till May.
Yeah. So can I maybe suggest this, is that at the next meeting, whether we do a July or August meeting, if there could be something written up for our sixth grade families, this is what, this is what must be done if you want to go to the middle school in Rockingham, you want to go to Leland and Gray, you want to go to wherever. This is the process that you take, and this is what is available to you. Is that something we can do?
I think I mean.
No, just so-
we can help assist getting that
Yeah,
together.
I mean, just to
I
get
think-
some,
I think you basically are looking for, so you wanted school choice, what do I do? Like an FAQ,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So what are
Right.
my options? What are my choices?
yeah,
And what do I need to do to exercise?
Go
school
visit
choice?
the school.
yeah, well, that's the basic thing is,
But letting them know you're not getting a voucher, you're not getting, what you need to do is go enroll, and the schools will bill us.
Yeah.
So.
and I think that, if we can let the parents and the families know that, then, they will be a lot better, a
I
lot
think
wiser
that's
for
pretty
us.
simple.
I think
Yeah.
I think that this system is actually, as far as the invoicing in dollars, is pretty seamless and isn't affecting the parents. The issue is parents, number one, knowing they have school choice. And number two, knowing that they really need to exercise that unless the board wants to, make it a part of what you want the school to do, which is to promote and, and allow those other schools, that you want you want Grafton Elementary School to promote all the options.
Right.
I mean, that's a school, that's a board or, a district related thing, not an
Right.
SU related thing, so.
I do get how it's confusing, so I think on the FAQ, just like explaining that, so then that's kind of like, that's not our. That's no longer our responsibility to to put that out there if it's put out there. I feel like that would just help clear things up.
Yeah, I
And
just.
a simple like
a
one picture, like
guideline,
Andy
just
said,
a-
yeah,
all,
like
you know.
infographic.
Yeah, just some sort of a guideline for the families so that they know, what they can do and.
Yeah.
And this is,
Well, and I think we've had turnover in administration, right?
Yeah.
I'm new, Angela's new, relatively, like, in the historical of how it used to happen, there's nothing really written down.
right,
And so what past practice and is it does the board want, to promote that and everything? I think we've always operated in, hey, we're all part of a big SU. We kind of focus on,
that's,
the schools and ourselves. I think if that's the direction the board wants to take, then we just need to know that and then we can move in that direction.
Yeah. so
And I think I'm hearing that pretty
is that what you,
clearly, so.
would that be okay? Is that what you're thinking, Rachel, as far as just giving this, this guideline for parents? So that they know what would be available, because I'm not sure a lot of parents know that they have school children,
I mean-
to be honest with you.
Yes, and I just wanna double check and make sure that, the schools that, private schools or independent schools around us, that they will take.
Yeah.
The 18 and not.
Yeah.
Parents aren't required to,
Yeah, so I think.
again, I'm not saying that. We should pay, the sky's the limit to whatever school, but these are the options around us, like within reason, we know we have.
It's confusing.
I guess maybe, is the board wanting Angela to every year find out what, if people are taking and all that? That's,
No.
see, that's the piece I'm trying to find out is, is it a parent's responsibility to kind of figure that out
Yeah.
and do that, or is it the school's responsibility?
Aren't you just, if I'm understanding you, you're just wanting kind of like a bullet point that just says. The amount that we pay to the middle school could be different than the statewide average, like it's your responsibility to check, right? Like what I'm hearing is you just want to point out that they could be different.
I just think if we're paying the middle school this much.
Yeah,
And the other schools, if the other schools paid this much and we're paying this much, fine, whatever,
Yeah.
it is what it is. But if this is how much we're paying for the middle school and other schools are actually wanting this or just a little bit little, why are we only paying this much?
So
It's,
I
that's.
guess I understand that. I guess where I'm trying to caution you all is if you say. We're going to, all parents, 7th and 8th grade are going to get the same tuition rate as we pay to. Whatever the set tuition rate is for the Bellows Falls Middle School. And if that's $25,000 next year, I'm just making, the
Yeah,
following
right.
year. And Compass or whatever is, they're taking 15 from other, or whatever the state average is. You're not, are you okay paying that extra money? That's that's so that's why you pay typically the state average, so that everyone's giving all those schools the same amount of dollars.
Then we should be paying middle school that,
Yeah,
that's my restriction.
That's where I'm saying you as a board
Okay.
should talk
We
about
have
the
to
Rocky.
watch our cost,
Yeah,
believe me. 36 kids in this school.
So that's where I'm saying, I think it would be.
Per child.
It would be in this board's best interest to have some kind of communique with the Rockingham board. Because that's really what you're asking, is the Rockingham board set their tuition for you at the state average. That,
Yeah.
that to me would be, they can say go pound sand
Right.
too. And then you can then say, whatever.
But if no kids go there from the other schools, then they're gonna say, well, hey, we need kids.
yeah.
And they're gonna go and they're gonna reduce their tuition rate.
So we can bring this up again, at our next meeting too, so that we can, chew it over some more and such. So next meeting, do you want to have a July meeting or wait till August?
I think it makes sense to wait till August if we don't have anything. And
Yeah.
If anything comes up, we can always.
Yeah, if something comes up, we can certainly call a meeting.
Yeah.
All right, so the next meeting would be August 10, 6 o'clock here.
Maybe just have it on your radars that there's likely gonna be a quick meeting for the librarian.
And once again,
No
if
problem.
we have appointments or whatever, then certainly we can make arrangements for that, okay? All right, someone make a motion to adjourn,
I will be adjourned.
all in favor,
Aye.
let's go.
This meeting was recorded by Falls Area Community Television, located at 1 Hospital Court, Bellows Falls, Vermont. If you would like a copy of the meeting, our phone number is 802-463-1613, or email us at fact810@gmail.com. Falls Area Community TV, keeping government honest.